Welcome everybody to the Portage County Safety Council. And Nick unfortunately isn't here, but Debbie did tell us just before we hit record that you are going to get a fat check from the Bureau again. So the check is in the mail, and that's a good thing when it's coming to you, right? And so before we get started here, just want to get a message from our sponsor this month, Metis Construction. So Elizabeth, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Mike. It is a little awkward to talk to you all on a screen. I can't see anybody's faces, but I'm glad we can do this anyway. So my name's Elizabeth Aiken, and I work at Metis Construction. For those of you who don't know us, we're a commercial general contractor, and we're located in Kent. We have a branch office in Akron now, and we are proudly female-owned and operated. Julie Brandel, our president, couldn't be here with us today, but she sends her best wishes to everybody. So I have a slideshow that I'm going to share with you. Hopefully I'll get it to work with all the technology. I'm a little technologically challenged, but I'll give it I think I'm good. But the message that I wanted to get out to you guys today is when you think of Metis Construction, don't just think of us as like a big contractor that just does ground up work. We also like to do small projects. We have a Metis field staff of over 30 people. So carpenters, painters, general tradesmen. Actually, our carpenters are really talented guys, and they can help with from the smallest project all the way up to big projects. And we like to say no project is too small for us. The other message I want to get out there is that I am an architect, and I've been at Metis for about 3 years now. The last 2 years, we've been building our design department, and so now we have a team of 4 at Metis, working at Metis, and so we can really do true like design build projects. So we're here to help. We're excited to be a part of this community, and if anybody needs anything, any help, please reach out to me. And now I'm going to try this screen share. Hopefully I'll do it. All right, let's see. Looks good so far. All right, so that video kind of gave you like images of our, big nice projects. But I do want to say again, don't think no project's too small for us. So if you need any help with anything, whether it be an addition or even a ground up project or anything little on the inside that you need done, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'd be excited to help you with whatever you need. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Elizabeth. And I just will make an announcement real quick too. We only have 6 sponsorships left for the rest of fiscal year 21 in between January and June. Only 6 left of next year for that first half. For the remainder of fiscal year 21, they're only $125. So if you're interested in that, I'll be sending an email out soon on that. Just a quick note. And so you can do exactly what Elizabeth just did and pitch your company as well and help support safety education around the county. So without further ado, I want to ask our chairperson, Debbie O'Connell, to introduce our speakers for the day. Debbie?
Great. Elizabeth, those were beautiful, beautiful projects you guys worked on. They really look great. And I admire the female-owned company as well. So kudos to you guys for all the hard work you guys do, especially in Portage County.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Today, I feel like we need, here I have a friend that keeps trying to join me. Today, I feel we need Luci and Barb more than we probably have ever needed them. At least I feel that way. I'm really looking forward to their presentation today. I actually met Barb and Luci at a show. I think probably it was over a year or so ago that I met them, and they did a very brief little presentation on what they provide employers, and I just thought that it would be something that would be of interest to our group. And again, like I said, especially during, who would have thought we would really need you now. So with that being said, today they are going to speak about impact on safety with EAP. I'm going to talk a little bit about Luci. She has served as the Executive Director for Impact Solutions since July of 2020. She has over 34 years of professional experience in the employee assistance and substance use fields, serving both in executive leadership roles and in providing direct services. Luci is a certified employee assistance professional and a Department of Transportation qualified substance abuse professional. She has provided training and consultation in the areas of transition management, productivity enhancement, reducing the potential for violence in the workplace, and substance abuse issues. She's also joined by Barb, who I'm happy was able to get on. She is an account manager for Impact Solutions in Beechwood. She's responsible for consulting to effectively resolve job performance issues. Barb has achieved a 25-year history serving in every aspect of employee assistance, from direct service to program coordinator. She also served as an employee relations specialist within the field of human resources, responsible for fostering positive employee relationships, wellness information or initiatives, health and safety, including drug-free workplaces. Barb is a licensed independent chemical dependency counselor. She's a certified employee assistance professional and a licensed social worker. With that being said, we're happy to see you guys. Glad you could join us, and we're going to turn it over to you guys.
Thanks, Debbie.
Thank you. And it seems, Debbie, like it was forever ago that we first met each other. We were originally scheduled, I think, in April. And so here we are, better late than never. So I wish I could see everybody. This is totally unrelated, but years and years ago, I used to participate in the Portage County Safety Council, and here's how long ago it was. It was back when you had the lunches across from Neomed, which I don't even think that restaurant's even there anymore. I mean, it had to be like 18 years ago. So long time. I wish I could see you and see who's there, but hopefully this will be helpful for you today. More now than ever, unfortunately. We in the EAP business are really busy. And when organizations are actually cutting back, we're getting more new business than we have in years, because people are seeing that their folks are so stressed, and there's financial issues and legal issues. And, I think when this all started back at the beginning of the year, we thought, oh, it'll be a month or two. And it's like, geez, it's not going to be a month or two. It's going to be a year or so. And how long is it going to take us to rebuild and get back to where we were? And organizations are seeing that their folks, this is in a really, and I'm not doing a sales job here, but EAPs, for those of you that have them, know they are a very inexpensive benefit that can do so much. And what we hope today, Barb and I, is that when we review what we do with our organizations, you'll take that and look at your EAP to make sure you're doing the same thing with them. And if you don't have an EAP, then of course, please give us a call. But I would imagine, being safety professionals, you probably already all do have EAPs, because you know how they can benefit your organization and make it a safer place. One thing from back in my days when I was an account manager, we had an organization who, I thought this was really innovative, and I've not run across many people that have done this, but they had it set up that if an individual had, and I can't remember the exact details, but if they had a safety violation or an injury, that they had an automatic referral to the EAP. And what we found is, for those folks that were repeat offenders, there was always something going on outside of work. They were going through a divorce, they were having financial problems, there was something happening. And we showed that by addressing those issues, their incidence of safety violations either went to zero or decreased. So, it's proven that EAPs can be helpful, because we know that real easy to say to people, oh, leave all your problems at the door, but wait, that doesn't happen, especially now when we've got all these competing problems. So anyway, on to, and please feel free to ask questions as we go, but we want to show you today two things. How can the EAP be helpful in two ways? Proactively, there's a lot of stuff we can do to help head off before there's even an issue. And then secondly, how can we respond if there is a problem, if there is a critical incident, if something's going on in the workplace? So we can help with both of those. And what we really love is organizations that want to partner with us and not have us as a checkbox. And of course, we have some, but all they want, it's like, oh, I needed an EAP for workers' comp so I get my discount, or somebody to do our drug-free workplace training or whatever. And that's fine if that's what you need. But we really, our utilization rates with our organizations are very impressive. We get great utilization because we have account managers like Barb. Barb's been in the field for as long as I have. She knows the business inside and out. She's worked with manufacturing organizations, service organizations, and she works with each one of them to really create the program specific to their needs, because everybody is different. All organizations are very different, and the cultures are different. So please keep note, and I can send this presentation out so that Mike or Debbie can distribute it so that you have all of these points. But these are the things that are really important to make sure that you're partnering with your EAP to make it as effective as possible. So the first thing is, you really, really, really have to make sure that your EAP is providing easy access. When somebody's having a problem, the last thing they want to do is jump through hoops. They don't want to have to search for phone numbers. They don't want to get a hassle on who do I call, where do I go, what do I do? And it has to be 24/7, because we know issues don't happen at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They happen at 9 o'clock at night. They happen on Saturdays. They happen 24 hours a day. So you have to have a partner that is responsive and available 24 hours a day to help folks. The other thing is, sometimes it takes people a while to build up the courage to make the phone call. So when they finally do, you want somebody answering the phone, not saying, I'm sorry, please leave a message and we'll get back to you, because then you've lost the opportunity. So you really want that warm body to be on that other end of the line and like, this is Lucy, how can I help you? And that's as simple as it is. I mean, so we have a 800 number answered 24 hours a day by a person, real live person, and they're there to help. So if it's in the moment counseling that they need, we can provide that. If they just can't remember what their login is for the website, we can give them that too. Sometimes people will just call and ask questions, like they'll test the water, and it's like, I'm just going to call and see. They even just want to hear, what's the voice sound like on the other end, and are they going to get drilled for, what's your employee number, what's your social security number? We don't ask all that stuff up front. We say, hey, how can we help you? The rest of that stuff comes as we talk to people. We don't need to get name, rank, and serial number right out the gate. We want people to feel comfortable. We also, we did this the last couple years, we've really been looking to make access easier and break down barriers. We've always had the 24/7 phone number, but now in the digital world, we created the online support request form. And never in a million years did I think it was going to be as successful as it is. We now, and I have not actually done a count in the last several months, but as of July, 30% of our requests were coming in through the online request. So just showing you what a digital world we're in. And they get the same service, but sometimes people don't want to talk to somebody. Maybe they want to be more anonymous. That's okay. So we met that need too. And then the other thing that we did, and this was pre-COVID, talk about being prophetic, we really enhanced our online counseling capabilities. We had been offering them, but in January, we really expanded it so that it is very robust. We have thousands more providers all across the United States that now have even expanded availability. So there's evening hours, weekend hours, all of that kind of stuff. And, so we did this in January. And of course, what happens in March, everybody's driven to online now. So thankfully, we were positioned very well for that. And at one point, everybody was doing online counseling because nobody was seeing people face to face. Now, some of that has opened up a little bit, but I'm imagining with things kind of getting worse in Ohio again, we're going to be tightening back up. Most of our providers are not seeing people face to face, but they're doing video counseling. And the research shows us that video counseling is just as effective for almost every issue. Now, obviously, if somebody is actively homicidal or suicidal or actively under the influence of a substance, it's not the best, not even warranted. Those people typically would need to go to an emergency setting. But for individuals and couples, has proven to be just as successful. And what we're finding is people are really liking it because it's so convenient now. They don't have to worry about, think about people who are working second and third shifts and driving somewhere. Now they don't have to worry about that. They could actually do it from a quiet place at work if they opens up the doors to us. The other thing that we do to really keep down the barriers to accessing services. So the EAP, I'm guessing you all know, I probably should have started with this to make sure we were on the same page, but the complimentary visits with the EAP are just that, they're free. So depending on the organization, they can have 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever sessions. Well, what we've done as an EAP is we've even taken that a step further. So we have, first of all, a very broad eligibility. We actually include anybody living in the household, whether they're related or not, and parents and parents-in-law, whether they're in the house or not. And we also include the referral to somebody in their insurance. So let's say they need to go longer term, they don't have to start with somebody else and get another referral. So they can continue on past their complimentary visits utilizing their insurance. And that's really important because, again, we're keeping that frustration level down. We don't want to add more Um, Promotion is important. If your EAP is not promoting every month, multiple times a month, you're missing the boat, because Barb and I can both tell you stories of people that we have met at organizations that we've had for 10, 15, 20 years who will say to us in all seriousness, I didn't know we had that benefit. That's amazing. And it's like, really? Because I've only been here X amount of times, and we only send you a newsletter twice a month. We only, but the thing is, they didn't need it, so they didn't pay attention to it. We're bombarded with so much that we're able to shut things out and only save what we need. So you have to consistently be promoting this, because you never know when somebody is going to need it. And Barb and I know we always get a chuckle when people do that. It's like, oh yeah, had this benefit here for 18 years now. So the other thing is, we do a lot of different things. We, and Barb and the other AMs, work with the organization to find out what is the best way to reach your people. Some people don't have access to electronic, so you need to do more paper. Some only do electronic. So we really work with you to see what works best and to make sure we're changing things up. Because even if you put a poster up, you know how that works. After it's up for a little while, it just becomes part of the woodwork. So you need to change things up a lot, and we like to keep that fresh. We have really great newsletters that come out every month. Lisa Trojan does those, and they're always very timely about what's going on. We've done a lot of special edition work with COVID. Actually, in the beginning, we were sending out an update every week because things were moving so fast. So we really try to keep abreast of what's going on. And we also even entertain specific requests from our organization. So if they're struggling with something specific, we'll help them create something for that. Manager tools. How many of you that are managers have people that come to you with their problems? And you probably wish that you either had a counselor. I see Renee raising her hand. And you wish that you either had a counseling degree or you could send them somewhere that somebody that did have one. Well, that's what your EAP is for. And we provide managers with a lot of tools on how can you promote the EAP? How can you do that when somebody comes to you with an issue that is way out of your scope and they need some other help? So we have a manager's toolkit that there's one on substance use, there's one on
violence.
Violence. What else, Barb?
Grief in the workplace and I'll talk more about the critical incident, but yeah, there's many toolkits that help supervisors.
Yeah, and Barb will also talk to you about some of the other really amazing things that the account managers do with the managers. The other thing is, how many times, and I bet you Renee will raise her hand too, how many times does somebody not come to you with the problem, but you know something's going on? You've seen performance issues, you've heard through the grapevine, or they're coming in late to work or leaving early or missing or on the phone all the time because they're taking care of personal business. We also help you with that. And how can you direct people to the EAP to help them? Because as that example I shared with you right at the beginning, we know that these personal things impact people in all aspects of their life. It just can't be isolated. I mean, it can be something like a financial issue. And somebody, think about this. They're so worried because they're getting phone calls from creditors and attorneys and whatever else that they can't focus on their job. Well, that's an accident waiting to happen. So even something that would be seemingly as unrelated as finance or legal to safety is totally related. So very, very important. And then we also offer learning and development for our organizations. And these can be anything from a 1-hour kind of off-the-shelf thing on bullying, violence in the workplace, nutrition, all kinds of things. We have hundreds of topics in our library. And of course, right now, those are all being provided via webinar. What we do when COVID's not in play, we also do provide those in person for those that like it. But the interesting, I don't know, bright spot in COVID, if there is any bright spot, is I think people have learned to embrace the electronic world and are finding that actually we're getting better participation with things being virtual because folks don't have travel time. They don't have to leave their place. Now, of course, that's not for every place. Some manufacturing organizations and things can't necessarily do that, but we work with you on those. But again, these help showcase the EAP in non-threatening ways so that people are not afraid to contact us. So if somebody comes in and talks to us about nutrition and you're thinking, how does that have anything to do with prevention? Well, it's not so much the nutrition topic that we talked about. It's that they had a good experience with the EAP. And guess what? Now, next time they're having an argument with their spouse, they'll think of us because they had a good relationship with us. They had a good outcome. They had some kind of a positive experience. So it's all of those things, making the EAP a normal part of every day, that it's not only if somebody has a substance use problem or somebody is severely depressed, it's for all those things that we experience every day. I will say there is not a person out there breathing and moving that could not at some point use the EAP. And I include myself. I have utilized our EAP because we have one for us multiple times, especially when my mom and dad were sick, and used them a lot for elder care because that was taking up a lot of time for me at work. And so I engaged our elder care specialist to help me so that I could focus on what I needed to. The other thing we provide, again, and we have to keep up with all of this because of the world we live in, we have a really wonderful website. And this, again, is a gateway into the EAP. Folks will go there looking for things, and then maybe it'll trigger something in them thinking, oh, I could use that. Well, all over our website, if you click on the phone number, it will call into triage. So we've, again, made it easy. So they're looking at an article on maybe helping a loved one with substance use. And they're reading it and they say, oh my gosh, this sounds exactly like my situation. Well, there's the phone number. They can click right on it. If they're on their phone, the mobile app, same thing, click on that. So we also have some of our folks have our chat bot, which we are hoping that more folks will incorporate. And actually, I believe Impact was purchased in July by a family of EAPs called All One Health. And this has been amazing for us. We've been able to offer a lot more resources. And I believe in January, our chatbot actual will be a standard on all of our websites. It won't be an upsell, which it was before when we were a standalone EAP. But again, the chatbot can be helpful because it's not intrusive, but it'll pop up. Can I help you with something? And we also have a chatbot that is available to help people. We call her Tess. And I keep forgetting that Tess is not real because when we have conversations, it is so lifelike. I have to stop and think, okay, no, it is a computer that is talking back to me. But I've used it for doing some relaxation exercises to help get to sleep. It's, again, so great. And people love it because they're not being grilled. She gives them just the information they need and will help them in the moment. So we've had really great success with that. The other thing that we provide is the daily living support. And I've already alluded to this some, that it's important that we provide all of these resources because we don't know how people will get their initial access into the EAP. So we want to make sure that we can cover all of these things. And that way they have a good experience. We're taking some of that stress off. And then they'll come to us when there is something bigger like substance abuse. So, you know, I can tell you, and Barb might elaborate on this a little bit more, is our obviously top referral is for mental health issues. I mean, that is the number one reason people call us. Even though we do all this other stuff, it still is anxiety, depression, stress, all of those things. And as you can imagine, when COVID first hit, it was really kind of eerie that it was really quiet. Our phones were still ringing, but the calls we were getting were much more serious and longer calls, but we were getting fewer of them. It was truly the calm before the storm. Everybody was just trying to scramble, trying to figure out, what do we do? What's going on? How do I just like get through this? How do I work from home? How do I not work from home safely? You know, all of these things. Well, then after a couple months, people had those kind of survival things down. And now it was like, okay, now I need to deal with my kids who have been sequestered in the house for months now, or we've seen a huge increase in relationship issues and the divorce rate is up. And sadly to say, and I've seen this, I've been personally touched by this, the suicide rate is sky high. The people who do the organ donation are overwhelmed because of all of the deaths. The other thing that we're seeing is the opioid epidemic is alive and well and even worse. And it's, you know, it's not going to get any better. We've got more people who are separated from their support systems, from their loved ones, that they don't have those things that they normally did to keep them functioning. And now we're beginning to see it. And if it's not being seen in the workplace, it will. And Barb and I just had this conversation the other day about formal management referrals, which Barb will talk a little bit more about, that for right after COVID, they kind of went down a little bit, but they're starting to creep back up. And my hypothesis on this is because so many people are working remotely, it's just taking longer for things to show up now because they might have been able to hide them longer, but we're still going to see the bullying, because just because you're not in the workplace, you can still bully. If you are in the workplace, there's probably more bullying because people are more stressed and they're more isolated from their other things that they're doing. We're going to see increase in substance use. We're going to see an increase in all of those things. So we will start seeing those problems resurface in the workplace if you were lucky enough to see them kind of subside a little bit, which I see Mike laughing. I'm guessing they didn't really subside much in his workplace. But so I'm going to turn it over to Barb so that she can talk about how you can utilize the EAP if we weren't successful in the prevention area, how we can then be supportive for you in the postvention.
So thank you, Lucy. And as you were talking, I was writing down some notes too before I start on my slide. But I also wanted to ask Mike, I noticed there were some questions in the chat box. I didn't know if you wanted to save that. I think a couple of the questions are going to be answered as I talk. But if you want me to go ahead and address those now or wait till later.
Yeah, we do a Q&A session that Renee will take questions from the chat and then ask at the end. So, yep, we'll go ahead over that.
And some of what I go over may be answered also. But before I go into the slide, I think that when I say postvention, I also want to talk a little bit about and just piggyback on what Lucy said, that it's really important not to wait postvention. You know, Lucy and I were talking the other day that with distributed teams now, one of the most important things that HR and managers can focus on is improving communication. That is just so key. I hear time and time again, and I read in journals, particularly HR journals, where, you know, EAP is underutilized. EAP is underutilized. Well, you know, Lucy had talked about the importance of promotion and to have the EAP be visible, that, you know, people do put their wallet cards away when they don't need them. and then they're shuffling to try and find the number, or what was that benefit that we get through our company. So it's really important to keep communication going, and we found this to be so important with COVID. We were actually sending out, and probably inundating HR, but we were sending out tip sheets weekly during COVID, just because we know people are out there and we know that it's so needed. So communication is key. Also, if you have a designated account manager, please build a relationship with that person. I really do think that that helps utilization. The account manager is visible, whether that be on site or virtually, as we're doing now. We keep in contact with the HR or the safety representatives. It's just a relationship. We're an extended arm to all of you. So it's really important, those of you that do have an EAP, to really ask that question. Do I have a designated account manager? Who is my primary contact person that I can reach via email, phone, however that might be? So that's really important. One of the other things that one of my accounts, and I have about 34 accounts, in meeting with one of the HR people, I thought this was really interesting, that the old version, or I guess the old view of EAP is you only reach out to them if you have a problem employee. And if you don't have a problem employee, everything's okay and EAP is not needed. Well, one of the things that he had told me in a meeting, he said, my goal is to have 100% utilization, and I kind of balked because that's really high, but that to utilize the EAP 365 days out of the year. And when Luci had mentioned about our robust website, we have healthy recipes on there. We work with wellness teams. So we are constantly visible. You know, it's not problem oriented, it's preventative oriented and resiliency oriented. So it's just really important to utilize your EAP 365 days out of the year, and not just when a problem crops up. And I think this is a good segue into consultation and postvention, because if you are having difficulty, let's say with a problem employee, or it's just at the beginning stages, you should have unlimited consultation and access to that account manager. And hopefully that account manager does have mental health and substance abuse experience or expertise behind them, because you are not there to be armchair psychologists. And oftentimes, as you know, these situations become very difficult. They become complicated, especially when you're adding personal issues in with attendance issues. And what we've really been finding, particularly with work threat, is that, and I'm a firm believer that this has been doubled with COVID, is that we are seeing a large portion of our formal management referrals because of angry outbursts. People are tired. People are frustrated. People are lonely. They're isolated. They're depressed. They're anxious. And all these feelings are magnified, and the power emotion is anger. And so we're seeing it in the workplace. We're seeing people, whether that be verbally or whether that be physically, punching walls, throwing things. We also see it in terms of social media. We get formal management referrals from HR that have seen, or it has come to their attention, that somebody posted something on Facebook or somewhere on social media that they're angry, or they're gonna, shoot up the place, or they're posting pictures with weapons. All of those can be very concerning to HR. So consultation is really key. Our triage staff is also trained in trauma. So if you think about it, we always talk about grief and loss, but there is also trauma affected with COVID. People are living through, and COVID has resurfaced maybe a lot of old issues that have come back to people. So it's really important that if some of your employees have suffered traumatic events in the past, and you may not even be aware of this, that things like COVID, or if they are a witness to an angry outburst at work and they're not used to, they feel that work is their safety zone right now. And if they're not feeling comfortable there, it's really important that, that they can call someone who specializes in traumatic experiences. So that's really a key to remember. The whole premise behind postvention, we talk about critical incident. And in the olden days, we called it critical incident stress debriefing. Things have evolved in the EAP field, and the focus is now on resilience to help employees build off of what worked in the past. When they've been through a stressful situation, what worked? And that's a question you can ask them when they're in your office or cubicle, what has helped you in the past? So critical incident response is a tool that HR, that safety personnel can utilize after a traumatic situation. And COVID is seen as a traumatic. We have done virtual CIR with individuals who may be downsized. Companies are laying off and people are stressed. And so we have come in and whether that be on-site, primarily virtual right now, and we can provide virtual CIR where it gives the employee an opportunity to share their emotions about the critical incident, to share their responses, and also it's a learning phase. The facilitator comes in, has handouts, these are some stress symptoms you might be experiencing. They are all normal. If you're experiencing them, you're not going crazy. It's a normal stress response. And here's some ways that you can help get through this critical incident. So the critical incident response has been very useful postvention. We also provide formal management referrals. Now, some of you may hear the term mandatory. So we actually have 3 offerings for employees. We have the self-referral, or the informal referral, where they actually will call in or do the online. They're motivated, they want help, they know that there's a free benefit there, and they contact us. There is the formal management referral. And hopefully all of your managers are familiar with this process. If they are not, ask your EAP to do a training, to tell them, to show them what to look for, what to document, and how to move towards a formal management referral. This is a key postvention. If you want to save this employee, because we know it costs more money to fire an employee, rehire, retrain, this is a way that can get your employee back on track, get them the assistance that they need, consult with the manager that maybe there's something they can be doing to help this employee to get them moving in the right direction. So it's a really key way to do that. The last is the last chance agreement. And most of you have those within your organization. And that is really where it truly is a last chance, that if they screw up one more time, they may be out of a job. And so that is more of the mandatory referral that we speak about. We also assist with fitness for duty. Now, under the EAP, this we assist with. This is not covered through a contract like ours, but we will assist HR with fitness for duty and threat of violence. So if you are concerned that you don't want this employee back on the job unless they're assessed, we can help you get to a forensic psychologist or psychiatrist that can do a series of assessments with them to determine whether they are safe to come back to work. Now, let me tell you this, it is pricey, but it is worth it in terms of legal ramifications, in terms of harm to others if this person were to return and they are not safe. But that is all something that you can check with your EAP. Do they assist you with getting them in the right direction with Fitness for Duty? Because there are specialty partners out there that do only Fitness for Duty and threat of violence. This is a real specialty. That's why it costs. But it's a really important tool in your toolkit to have. And then lastly, the preferred provider network. We have over, I don't even know what the current list is, but we have over 5,000 providers, probably even more now with the virtual providers. So it's really important that you have a vast provider network that has a list of providers and their specialty areas, as well as their licenses, and that their licenses are current in your state that the employee is requesting services from. And it's just really important to direct them to the best provider that can help with their needs. If you have any other questions beside what's during the Q&A, please don't hesitate to contact us. This is our office number during the day. Lucy and I are available by that number, as well as through our emails, as well as we are on all social medias. So if you want to learn more about Impact Solutions, just Google us and you can learn more about us. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the Q&A facilitator.
Yeah, we have a ton of questions. So
Good.
Yeah, so the first question a lot of people ask are the results anonymous? Like, are the requests, are the people, can you talk about that anonymity?
Sure. I'm on, okay. I can remember if I took myself out or off. Yes, information goes back to the organization, either in aggregate, so we give utilization reports so that they would know how many people are using it, but no names or any identifying information shared, unless it is a Fitness for Duty or a last chance or a formal management referral where there are releases signed, and then that information goes to a designated person. But confidentiality is huge. And I'm proud to say that we do follow-up surveys, and I think our confidence rating is like 98 or 99% of the people who utilize the Impact EAP. If people didn't feel comfortable, they're not going to use us. It's so important that, and we tell people right up front, your privacy is protected by state and federal laws.
Mm-hmm.
So what? Oh, I'm sorry. Even in a formal management referral, there's only certain information that gets shared back to the company. And it's important for the employees to know that. We only share when their appointments are, and if they're showing up for their appointments, because that's important. And at the end, if there are any recommendations that will help with job performance improvement. Those are really the only things that the account manager or the EAP shares back with the company. And that's really important for the employee to know too.
And so do they know what type of service that they're going for? So whether it's legal or financial or a mental health, does the company know what's being used out of their EAP?
Yes, our utilization reports are broken down by topic. So it'll say, 10 people for finance, 4 people for legal. So yes, we do a breakdown. The website access is also broken down by what people are visiting, which can also be very helpful for our promotion. The reports are pretty detailed, and the account manager will, as often as you like, we like to at least do a deep dive once a year, but they will meet with you quarterly if you'd like to talk about promotion, what we're seeing in the utilization reports.
What are some other ways that employers can promote their EAP? We've always kind of put the poster up by the time clock, and it's an easy place to access that phone number. But like you said, it kind of becomes part of the woodwork after a short amount of time. What are some other things? I know you touched on it a little bit about the things you guys do, but what can employers do?
Well, I think Barb can probably add a lot, but a couple things just off the top of my head. We try to encourage the organizations to include us in everything. So if they're doing a health fair, include the EAP. If you're doing flu shots, include the EAP there. And if we're not there, at least put things out about the EAP. So everything you do, you're having an employee appreciation luncheon. Put some things out about the EAP, invite us there. I mean, I've been invited to company picnics before. If the more we're around and the more we're a part of the everyday fabric, the more people are going to call us. We also try to get creative, and the AMs have done a really neat thing. They do a website scavenger hunt, which people really like. And you can offer a little prize to the person, or sometimes people incorporate the EAP into their wellness incentives. So if you do the website scavenger hunt and you turn that in, because this is non-threatening, you did a scavenger hunt, then you get 5 wellness points, and that equals whatever. So those are just a couple of things I thought of. Barb, you want to add any?
We've also worked with the company's financial advisor. So a lot of times what we hear from employees is, I live paycheck to paycheck. I can't possibly save for my retirement. And so when their financial people hear that, they refer to us and say, maybe you need to set up a budget with your EAP, and then we can start talking about financial kinds of things. We have, I'm trying to think what else we do, just all kinds of things. Like the wellness piece is huge. We're involved with any of the partners that you work with. If we can be included in that, it's an awesome thing.
We can put a link onto your intranet to our site. We like to also embed your other partners on our site and have them do the same thing with us. So really that cross promotion, if you're doing open enrollment, we want to be there. People don't have to enroll in EAP, they're just covered, but it's another time to make the EAP visible. So the account manager really should sit down with you and talk about, what do you do on a regular basis? Do you have safety meetings? Do you have whatever? And then
lunch and learns.
Yep.
Lunch and learns. We can, we do an overview of all the services. They bring their lunch and we just go through, this is a hidden benefit. Use us kind of thing. So yeah, anyway, we've done a lot of creative things. One of my accounts set up a movie theater. So they had popcorn, they had a red carpet, they had little movie tickets, and they came in and they talked to me and they got, a stamp, and then there were door prizes. So, anything that, in terms of your culture and how to get the word out, and we work together with HR and with the wellness teams to see what will work and what can improve that visibility.
And it doesn't have to be a big production. I mean, we have a really short video that we created for the employees. So you could show this 3-minute video at your safety meeting, or when you do new employee hires, or just, putting something, I know we don't get paychecks anymore, but, attaching something to something that goes out every month, or just be creative.
One of the other things I forgot to mention about the post threat, and ask your EAP about this, but if someone does end up getting terminated, we offer 90 days post termination. So they can utilize the EAP for 90 days once they've been termed for any reason. And research shows that this really does cut down on threat of violence to the workplace. So ask your EAP. That's a really important point that I forgot to mention through the slides.
Yeah, that leads right into the next question. What are some other things that employers should look for when they're picking an EAP? That sounds like a great one. What are some other things?
Unlimited consultation, a designated account manager, Who is eligible? You know, as Lucy had mentioned, all household members are eligible. It doesn't have to be a family member. We also include parents and parent-in-laws, which is a pretty unique feature for EAP, and they do not have to be residing in the home of the employee.
One of the things you'll also want to check is too, when somebody needs counseling, are they restrictive in when they give authorizations? So for instance, I know that there are some EAPs out there that if somebody needs long-term counseling, they'll make them go directly to their insurance. Well, we want to get people connected first, and then they can use their insurance. So we allow everybody to use the EAP. We don't restrict authorization. So I would check on that. Who answers the phone? Are they knowledgeable people? I know I don't know that many do this anymore, but I know there's still one small one that you leave a message and somebody will get back to you. It's not 24/7, which again, I think that's very important. So a lot of those things that we talked about, you should go through and see what's important for your organization. And when you're selecting your EAP, make sure that you talk to them about those.
Great. I think we have a few more things, but I know we're hitting our time. It's noon, or maybe within a minute of it now. So I just wanted to make sure that we wanted to wrap up. And if anybody wanted to stick around and ask questions, I think they can do that for a couple minutes more here.
Absolutely. Barb and Lucy, thank you so much for giving all the information that you have. I think something that, at least in my world, is you can tell when someone's very passionate about what they do. And it definitely shows when you guys talk about what you provide. And I think something that hit me when you guys presented, when I saw you a while ago, is, for me, when I think EAP, I always thought of, someone with substance abuse, that's when an employer would need you. But, here you have all these things that you can offer. And again, I feel that you guys are very passionate about what you do, and I can appreciate that, that's for sure. So thank you so much for all the useful information. Our next meeting is going to be on November the 12th. It's going to be November already, from 11 to 12. It's going to be on ladder safety for work in the holidays by Dave Dennison, end user safety specialist, Werner Ladders. So again, thank you everyone for joining us today. And I think Barb and Lucy will stick around a little bit in case there are any other questions.